Neha, it's great to be with you today. We have just formed this partnership between Contentstack and 3Pillar, and we are so excited because whenever we think about partnerships, we always start with something that I think too often gets forgotten, which is culture and values. And we feel like there is an alignment here about how we think about the world that starts from a value perspective that is just really intriguing and exciting for us. So
I couldn't agree more, David. Let me jump in and just say thanks for being here with me to have this conversation. I'm super excited about how we have a lot of great joint value proposition in the works for our customers and prospects. But like you said, it comes down to having customers and partners that you align with from a values perspective. And I'm really excited to be working with you guys on this initiative.
That's great. Yeah, no, as are we. And I just keep on hearing things from the team that reinforce over and over again that alignment. And so many things work out when those fundamentals are in place. So do you mind starting with just your values? I would love to hear you express and kind of tell the story of your values and purpose and the culture of your organization.
For sure. Yeah. So I actually, when I was preparing for this conversation, I looked up a little bit about what you talk about, and I saw that you have a tagline, which is lead with humble confidence. And that really spoke to me because if you think about the values in an organization and in a world that's changing really fast, and there's a lot of decisions that we have to make, sometimes quickly, sometimes with a little bit more diligence and leaning in, it's really important to have an open mindset. And a lot of where Contentstack comes to the table is having that diversity of thought, the different experiences in the market. We actually came out of a consulting company ourselves. So Contentstack's a spin out of a services company. And so there's this services mindset and a really kind of empathy for organizations and enterprises that are going through a lot of change. And having been through that and having helped several enterprises that are trying to understand what does digital transformation mean for me, we've built a company that really has a lot of empathy and works from a consultative standpoint to help solve really complex problems for companies. And that's really the core of where our values lie. We're very customer centric, very focused on helping to solve tough problems. And that's where everybody comes together in our sort of one team, one dream mentality at Contentstack.
Yeah, I love that you just said one team, right? That if you were to describe 3Pillar, that's what I would say is one team. Like we fundamentally believe that this digital world we live in can only be successfully navigated with a team, with more than one individual. And it is teams that are able to not only do incredible things in the world, have outsized impact, put their thumbprint on the way we do business, the way we live, the way we work. It's also teams, from my experience, that are able to help elevate individuals on that team, that give people a sense of belonging, that really urge people to become the best version of themselves. And so when you think about 3Pillar, one team is at the core of who and what we are and what I'd describe our culture as.
I love that. Yeah, we have another saying, which is, it's my responsibility as CEO to make sure that everyone is doing the most significant work of their career. And if I'm not enabling that, then I'm the one who's failing. And so that kind of brings it all together, right? Like we all feel like we're in it because it's a calling, not because it's a job. And we're trying to do something to actually help organizations transform, but in a way and at a pace that's comfortable for them.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what I love about that is that brings me back around to your opening thought about humble confidence. And where humble confidence came in for me was as I went from being the early phase entrepreneur to scaling my growth and leadership, I would often have the question from other entrepreneurs. They would come to me and they would say, what's the secret? Like what allowed you to scale from being nothing to be a over $100 million company? And I said, what I boiled it down to was, as an entrepreneur, you have to have this maniacal focus and belief and confidence on your vision. Like everybody's going to tell you no, everybody's going to you can't do it. But you have to be able to balance that with this humility of learning along the way, of listening, of adjusting, of refining. And so that's the leadership style that I've really tried to make my own, is this of humble confidence. And that goes for not just that entrepreneurial phase, but it's also interacting with people. And you're just talking about the teammates, right? How do you maintain this belief about the organization, but at the same time meet the employee where they're at? meet your team members and make them such an incredible part of it. It takes that humility in order to successfully lead and bring people along.
Absolutely. And I don't think it's possible to be an entrepreneur without some of that humility, because you have to be resilient. You're going to face failure a lot. You're going to fall a lot. But it's really about again, going back to the fundamental belief that you are trying to change the world for the better. You're trying to help organizations transform for the better, and you care about that. And it's more than empathy. It's very powerful because you actually believe, right? And when you have that belief, and if you bring other people along on that journey, it just happens naturally. And the humility comes with trying things and iterating and refining, like you suggested. But the confidence is also key, because you're being consulted to solve a problem that obviously you need to play a role in, right? And so we're helping to solve difficult problems because we have the confidence that we know a better way. And I think that's been an important part of the journey.
Yeah. And what I hear in all of that is, at the center of one team, at the center of this humility, of the center of all these things we're talking about, it's people, right? What I think the two of us both share a belief in is people, right? And we have a value at 3Pillar. The primary value, number one, is the intrinsic dignity of every single human being. Right? That we believe that everybody has something to contribute, that everybody belongs, right? And so living that, and that's what I hear you saying. And interestingly enough, digital transformation, go back to it, it's a people challenge, right? It's
100%.
About allowing people to live and thrive and take it to the next level in this incredible digital economy that we're now living in.
And that's what, if you think about the companies that are being successful with digital transformation, or that are accelerating those journeys and setting the right example for other organizations, it starts with the people. And it's the mindset of those people that are the change makers, or what I like to call the dream makers in an organization, that are really carrying the people, the rest of the organization along. And they're the ralliers at the front of the line saying, let's take a chance on this. Let's do this differently. There's a better way. And I think that's an important distinction when we think about digital transformation. It's not just about the products that you employ or the technologies that you choose. It's about the mindset inside an organization and making that shift. And we've seen that happen in the companies that are most successful at accelerating their digital transformation.
Yeah. So you just used one of my favorite words. You're just crushing it today. I don't know how you're doing it, but one team, and now mindset, right? Like, mindset to me is the frame that people operate in. And if you want to talk about digital transformation, really, I think the CEO's job is to help shape the mindset so that individuals can make judgment calls in the moment that are aligned to the ultimate vision, are aligned to how we want them thinking, but they're empowered to act. They're able to leverage their own intuition, their own judgment, and make decisions, because the pace of innovation today requires not a top-down approach, but a bottoms-up approach.
100%. So product mindset is core to who you are as well, and a lot of what you talk about. Can you talk about product mindset as a thing? What is it? How does it work? How do we think about it?
Yeah. So the product mindset actually came out of this observation about the power of empowering and delegating and allowing everybody, from the engineer to the quality assurance engineer to the business analyst to the product manager, everybody on a product team, to think about the business the way we wanted to think about it. And that the mindset that we gave them was so critical. And early on in 3Pillars history, it was so funny. We began to coach and to train our teams on this little thing we called the product mindset. And over the years, we started having clients come to us and say, we don't get it. Why are your teams so much more effective and powerful at driving results than our teams are? What are you doing differently? We had no idea. And finally, in a conversation, we tripped over this idea of product mindset. And we ended up sharing it with some clients, which then led to a bigger and bigger thing and became really powerful. And it boils down to these three things. Software products are fundamentally different from other types of software and IT assets that you build, in that they have these three characteristics. Number one, they drive top-line revenue growth. They're actually creating dollars, versus most software we've historically made is about driving efficiency. Mm-hmm. It's about saving pennies. And the mindset of creating versus saving, two fundamentally different things. One's risk averse, one's about embracing risk, right?
For sure,
and I could go on and on about how different that is, right? But mindset, right? So that fundamental principle is different. The second thing that is different is that a software product is actually engaged by a user. It has to be chosen. So it's not something that an employer can say you must use, or anybody that's going to be a vendor of a, no, and it doesn't run in a closet. It's something that has to be so delightful, has to be so, have such high quality that people choose to not only use it, but most of the time actually buy it in some sort of way, either literally monetarily or through their time and attention, right? And giving personal information, those types of things. And then finally, the other thing that's a reality about a software product is a customer's expectations never stop. And so you have to continually evolve. You have to continually innovate. The way we say it is, a product is never done, right? You're always innovating. You're always taking it to the next level, or you are losing your market share. And so those are the three components of the product mindset that we teach our teams. Once teams have those characteristics in mind, they're able to optimize the way they're making decisions, the way they're implementing a feature, the way they're thinking about prioritization and those types of things. And it can really take team performance to the next level.
That's super powerful, David. When just starting from the beginning of what you were talking about, empowering people, I think about when we built Contentstack and essentially any of the products that have come out of our services company in the past, it's been about empowering the mindsets across the organization. And literally, if you think about one of the biggest problems that has existed in the last 15 years is that the technical teams and the business teams do not get on the same page. There's no harmony. There constantly is this tug of war between them. And when we built Contentstack, one of our core principles was equality by design for those two parties, right? And so everything that we build, when we think about the way we sell, the way we build the content that we use to market, the way that we built the product, the features, the user experience, it's all been about, we need to cater to both of these mindsets. And then to your second point, they need to love using the product. Like they have to choose it. They have to opt into it, because if they don't, then the product's not sticky. It's not valuable to them. And we're not giving them the return on that experience, right? And so we think about, instead of ROI, which is the traditional way organizations thought about software, we think about return on experience. We're giving you a better experience in utilizing the product, and that's allowing you to deliver a better experience to your end customers in terms of digital experiences, right? And so we've ensured that we are catering to both of those audiences all the time, the way that we build the product, the way we think about it, the way that we innovate. And then to your final point, constantly iterating, right? Nothing's ever good enough. We never settle for where we are. We're always looking one step ahead to how can we innovate to make this experience even more delightful. And that's a constant. That's just, change is the only constant when you think about that.
Undoubtedly. Yeah. It's a reality of the world we live in now, right? Yeah.
Absolutely.
The other thing you just said, I loved how you talked about the one team, right? Go back to that concept and the business and the engineering and the product. And we really find that the most successful teams are those that are cross-functional, fully integrated. It is a one team approach for everybody involved in bringing a product to market. And the power of that, when you think about the product mindset and thinking holistically, is that innovation comes from the intersection of two things. And in this world that we live in today, we're very focused on the customer, and we should be. Absolutely. We should delight the customer. But there are absolutely those that have taken it so far, they've taken it too far. They forget about those business results. They forget about the need to actually drive profit to fuel the ongoing innovation, right? And it's interesting how when that gets lost, we see organizations go astray, and they tend to fall into building for the sake of building, right? Technology for its own sake versus actually solving a need that is so important to the client that they're willing to pay for it, that they're willing to actually invest themselves in using your product. And that's where true innovation comes from.
Absolutely, 100%. And if you think about, almost every brand now will claim that they're a technology company. That's like the biggest example of a mindset shift that's happened. And now employing technology in order to change your bottom line and improve your top line has become a core part of how people think about technology that they use.
Totally. And isn't it funny how everybody, wants to describe themselves as a technology company. The new phase is it's now everybody's a data company, right? The reality is these are just underlying services within a business you need,
Yeah.
right? I really think that digital as a great example, data as a great example, is going to be finance of the next generation. It's like, it's just every business has
It's
that, of
core.
course,
Yeah,
right? It's just,
absolutely.
right.
Absolutely.
That's neat. That's neat. So give me an idea of where you're at. You're in the midst of some new product launches, different things. How does all of that you're doing fit into this story we've been talking about of culture, of people, of strategy, and pulling it all together?
So the big shift that has happened in the industry and since I started my consulting practice back in 2007, right? So this is like the early days of cloud.
Yeah.
Mobile was brand new.
Yep.
And SaaS didn't exist, right? And so if you take those three things that are now kind of instrumental to how anybody thinks about technology decisions, we helped brands figure out, how do you adopt all this cloud stuff? What is cloud? Do I have to worry about it? To now everyone's bringing phones to work and they want it to be able to work with the stuff we have here. How do you do
Right.
that? To, what's SaaS and how can my employees are swiping their credit cards and buying tools that no one's provisioning. And so all of that happened kind of fast and all at the same time. And what we learned from a consulting practice standpoint is that it was creating a lot of the same problems for a lot of organizations. One was just disconnected data. There's like data everywhere now and it's not talking to each other. And then content became core. Yeah. Everybody has content. Content is the new currency. And there's no way to aggregate it and get it to the right channels because now people are consuming content on mobile and on their watches and still the web, but they want something more dynamic than what they had before. And so we kind of sat at the convergence of all that stuff happening. Okay. And we built products to address it. And Contentstack is one of those, right? So Contentstack came out of all of that convergence. And the big mindset shift there is the old technology stacks that used to exist, the suites, the monoliths, no longer applied to the needs of the changing world, right? So if you wanted to build a mobile app, you'd have like a 9-month roadmap. And that doesn't work anymore. If you have an idea for a mobile app, you need to be able to launch it in a few weeks, right? And so we built the technology in this stack that essentially enables that. And that was built out of a new principle, which is everything is based on now microservices, not these big monolith suites. And so that's essentially where the heart of the technology decisions lie. And then that led to thinking about a new way to buy, a new way to engage, a new way to build. And I don't know if you've heard the term MOC. MOC stands for Microservices API First Cloud Native Headless. Nerdy terms, but essentially what it means is it's just a better way, right? It's stacks, not suites. And so essentially that's where we sit. We're sitting at the kind of the cusp of that all taking off. Right. And Contentstack plays a role in the core content portion of that stack.
Gotcha. And so through that, you're an incredible example of one of the cutting edge technologies that is really deploying itself as a headless set of APIs, right? And empowering organizations in this digital economy to move faster, right? To build on your suite, tailoring their products for this new digital world, but not having to build everything every single time, really providing these core components that are adding a ton of value.
Absolutely. And one important thing, and just a note on what you said, is building on not our suite, but our stack. And that's important because a suite is this kind of monolith thing that once you're using it, you can't use it with anything else. And the whole point of the new and better way is that you should be able to easily change your mind and adapt as the world changes around you, because the world's changing so fast. And I'll give you an example. We work with the Miami Heat, which, the mobile application is essentially a remote control to their mobile arena. And so when we're not in a pandemic and we're going to the games, everything from, navigating to the arena, ticketless entry into the arena, navigating or wayfinding to your seat, in-seat ordering, touchless systems, all of that is all powered through integrations of different content coming from various places, all delivering a digital fan experience that feels very super VIP because it's personalized. And whether you're experiencing that on the mobile app or your watch or in the arena, you're getting the same experience catered to you as an individual. And that's where like the power of a stack comes into play, because you're using the best of breed of the best in-seat ordering or the best ticketing system. And if something better comes out within a month or two, you can switch out that portion of it. And that's the power of microservices. And so that's the fundamentally different way and the paradigm shift in how to build really powerful and engaging applications.
Gotcha. So as you're helping to pioneer this shift in how we think about suites versus stacks, right? What has been the biggest challenge for you?
The biggest challenge is the mindset. And it comes back to that, right? It comes back to the team. So if an organization, I'll give you one example that kind of stands out to me. Nobody ever gets fired for choosing what's in the top right of a Magic Quadrant, right? Sure. And that's not necessarily where the best innovation is happening. The best innovation is happening with the new entrants. And so if you just think about that perplexing decision that people have to make inside an organization, there's a safe bet, and then there's the bet that's actually going to propel you forward. And we fit into the bet that's going to propel you forward. But that's the hardest thing, is capturing the mindset of the people that are the leading edge innovators inside an organization, and having them take control of the conversation, rather than the people that are feeling safe with the technology that they've been using for 15 or 20 years. And that's usually the biggest challenge we have especially in a large enterprise, right? Having to change that mindset.
Sure. Fascinating. Well, Neha, this has been so much fun. I have really enjoyed this conversation. Anything else we should talk about?
I'm just excited to say that we've created this brand new partnership. We're going to be working together on a lot of incredible innovations with our joint customers. I'm excited about that, excited about getting to work with you guys more closely. Is there anything in particular you want to say about 3Pillar and how you help customers bring things to market?
Well, I'll tell you what I'm excited about is what we're seeing is this need for our clients to go faster, right? And the way you go faster is by leveraging best of breed technology. And you said it yourself, right? There's the safe bet, but then there's the better bet. There's the new innovative approach. And what we see in the partnership with Contentstack is so much of our work, and we work exclusively with data, information, and content-rich organizations, right? And so much of what we do requires exactly what you do, right? The focus on content and providing a stack that can be plugged into your solution and leveraged across a whole series of interfaces for your customers. Yeah. And so it will absolutely accelerate what we do. I can't tell you how many times I've thought back to different things we've built. We've built all the digital products for PBS over the years. When we first started, we had to build our own CMS in order to manage all of the content delivery, everything. Now, today, there's a totally different way to do it. And it's because of innovators like yourself. And I think you guys are absolutely leading the way. And so we're very excited about what this not only provides us, but our clients. As we think about our clients and the speed and the pace that they can innovate now, I think it takes it to the next level.
Absolutely. That's awesome. I'm so excited about exploring that further with you. Thanks again for taking the time to do this. Appreciate it.
It's been a lot of fun. We'll have to do it again. Thanks, Neha.
Thank you.